what could cause damage, or what kind of situation which could be beyond your control, and you need to have some plan around it, right? Like I said, during my flights, okay, aviation, in aviation world, I can encounter issue related to weather. So similarly for a drone, since I'm doing my drone operations in a very limited space, okay, maybe in a diameter of 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer range, okay, or maybe in my flight, even in my flying, like I'm doing my training, so that is area is 60 by 60 meters. Okay, as per the DGC, I have to block a space of 60 by 60 meters. So in that space, also I could enter some kind of a risk. So what kind of risk can we encounter during our flight operations?
I think firstly,
Your voice is not clear, Ankita.
can you, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So maybe I think, uh, uh, with the or a tree or a wire that is in the way, not see with your eyes, but it might come in the way. So the sensor of the
I'm really sorry. I could not make out anything what you spoke. Maybe you
okay,
can want to type it into the chat box, which will be
yeah,
helpful to me to address, or put up. Like Hari has put that birds while flying the drones, bird put, like we have seen a lot of time birds, for them this is something new, and they sometimes big birds or even the crows try to come very close to the drone, or cause some kind of a disruption into a flight and all that things, right? Or maybe because of the heavy wind, also we can encounter a lot of challenges in the flying. There could be a challenge in GPS signal also because of the cloudy weather thing also, or maybe because of the what we call uh, loss of compass, or loss of some kind of a sensor also. A lot of time the devices on the drone could go faulty also, so that kind also situation. Sometimes our battery may go all of sudden low also, sometimes because it's a battery, we don't know how it will perform or behave. Sometimes some batteries, after over period of usage, like if I have used it for more than 100 200 cycles, probably my battery would go for bad state kind of thing. Okay, or maybe rightly right, Ankita, what you said, unseen objects like trees. So these are nothing but these are called obstacles. Okay, so a lot of time when we are doing agriculture spraying, things, so a lot of people miss the trees or the well, or there might be a small hut into the farm also, or maybe some kind of a structure like that machan is there, or or sometimes even the electrical poles or wires crossing across the farms. So these things are not thought when you are doing or planning your flight operations. So it's the job of a pilot to make sure that before he performs the operation on a particular location, he does the survey of that location. He takes the account of all the obstacles or the issues or the challenges what could encountered or could impact his flying of the drones. Clear? So let's see now what we have. So, risk assessment, it is a process of assessing the risk to people's safety and health from workplace hazards. Okay, so first, when we talk about normal risk assessment definition, it is basically we are assessing the risk. First priority is always given to the people's safety and the health perspective or from the workplace. Okay, then probably we may take importance about the components, maybe a drone or related equipments to that. Okay, so what is the hazard? Hazard is nothing but a source or a situation or a act with a potential for harm in a term of a human injury or ill health or damage to a property or a combination of these. So that is what is hazard. Like hazard, example of hazard could be lion out of his cage is a hazardous situation. Okay, so in that scenario, what would you do? So that's a risk, or that is a hazard situation. What could be the risk because the lion is out of the cage? It could either injure or kill person. Okay, so the combination of likelihood of occurrence of hazardous event or exposure and the severity of injury or ill health that can be caused by the exposure, by the event or exposure. So lion is out of the case. That is a hazardous situation. But what is the risk around? Because around to that hazardous situation, he can injure or kill people. So we need to have some kind of a plan if such situation occurs. Okay, just this is just an example to give the understanding of the hazard or the risk situation. So what is emergency? Emergency is a situation that poses an immediate risk to the health, life, property, or environment. Like lion is freely roaming in the forest. Okay, is not a hazardous situation because it's a their place to live. But if it is come near to the village, okay, it is a hazardous situation. Now it may cause a damage, like it could injure a person or a children's, or maybe kill the life or the person. So in that scenario, what is the action we need to take? We can take two actions. Either we need to keep ourselves inside in a closed door, and we should inform the forest official about so and so, so that they come and take the necessary actions and all the things. We should not try to do it on our own. Okay. So emergency situation is that poses an immediate risk. Okay, if the lion comes near to your village or your city, it's a emergency situation kind of thing. Like, a lot of time in the rainy season also, we see in a lot of our societies and all the things, because of the water going into the holes, the snakes comes out. So a lot of time they hide inside the car, or maybe within the bike and all that things location. So we have seen these things happening in a lot of societies, especially in near the Boroli area and all that things. Wherever you have closeness to the forest area and all that things. Okay, so that unforeseen seen combination of the circumstances or resulting state that call for immediate action. So whenever you have an emergency situation, okay, which is actually possess an immediate risk to health, life, property, or environment, you should always call for immediate action or immediate help. Okay, that is how your emergency is been defined. Okay, so what kind of emergencies we can see in a drone, or even in a general terms we can say? It could be emergency related to fire, it could be emergency related to medical, it could be emergency related to environment, it could be emergency due to human, it could be emergency arising due to technical fault. Okay, it could be hardware or software kind of emergency also. Fire could be also that, like for example, I have a fire in my resort, or I could have a fire on my drone also, or I could have a fire in my car also. So emergency can be reduced or mitigated by preparing an emergency plan. So if I know that there could be some kind of emergency in my resort, I need to be equipped with some plan to arrest or to minimize the damage caused by that emergency. So if there is a fire would be there, then I would keep a lot of fire extinguishers in my resorts, or I would probably keep sand buckets also in my resorts. Okay, in my car or something where I'm using probably the gas or kind of thing, for instead of petrol or diesel, okay, CNG or something. So I will normally keep a small fire extinguisher, so that in case of there is a fire in my car, I should able to take it off immediately. Okay, so emergency plan specifies the procedure for handling sudden or unexpected situations. So you should have a plan for your emergency situations or the risky situations. So let's see now what are the different emergency situations we can see in our drone operations. First one is loss of communication or control link. All of a sudden you are flying the drone, and all of a sudden you see your drone is not responding. Okay, so your drone, you are unable to communicate, or you are unable to control your drone in that scenario. So what would happen in that scenario? So how this communication, like you try to give some signal, pitch forward, pitch back, or roll right, roll left, you are trying to do, and it is not taking that control. So you will understand that there is a loss of communication. Let's say you have a battery, there is a battery in the remote control also, and all of a sudden that battery dies off. You are not charged your remote control, and all of a sudden that battery dies. So what will happen? The drone will come to know, because there is a continuous handshake is happening between the drone and the remote control. Okay, though you are not sending any signal from your remote control to the drone, but there is a handshake is happening between uh, the drone and the remote control. And as of all of a sudden, your remote control crashes. Maybe a software glitch could be there, or could be because of the battery going low, something like that. Just assume that I am out of control. I am unable to control the drone from my RC, so I have lost the control. Or maybe my remote control is functioning, but through my remote controller, I am trying to give the commands to my drone. It is not functioning. That means I have lost communication between. So I do not know what could have caused, or what is actually where the problem is. But somehow there is no communication happening between drone and the remote controller. In that scenario, what will happen? If we do not have any plan around it, so possibly effect would be that our pass would crash in one or more building, or maybe on someone it would crash, or because maybe it crashed into the building, or it may be crashed into another drone, or maybe to the man flight, or maybe into the obstacles. It could be the building, it could be the house, it could be power line tower or telecom tower, whatever it could be. We don't know, depending upon where we are flying. Based on that, probably the effect would be because of loss of communication, that drone may crash into the some object, or may because that object would further cause damage to the human life also. Okay, so again, we do not know what could be the damage or what could be the issue, but these are the possibly out effects of the loss of communication. But what could be the contingency plan? So communication failure will also trigger the smart return to home. So in the software, in the drones software like DJI drones or any other OEM, they will normally configure the RTX. So if you are not getting let's say 5 handshakes from the remote control to the drone, if it not getting those 5 handshake continuously, it will trigger a RTH. That means what? On its own, the drone will trigger the RTH. It will return the drone back to the home position from where you are actually taken off, or where you are actually at the home location. Okay, so that location it will immediately land the drone. So where this configuration is, this is called FSCOM. Okay, this setting is there inside the drone component. These settings are done by the OEMs, okay, or only by the authorized person. Normally even the pilot is not authorized to change these settings. Okay, so communication failsafe feature is available to counter this type of emergency. Okay, so there is a setting like after 5 handshakes or 5 communication signals not received, the drone should trigger the RTH or RTL. Okay, either it is called RTH or either it is called RTL also. So return to home or return to launch, what we call. So clear on the loss of communication or control link.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the next? Next is aircraft flyaway. So in normal scenario, if I have do not have, let's assume that I have built a drone, I have not configured the geofencing and all the things on the my drone, and I'm flying the drone. Okay, so basically because of the wind or huge wind shear or something like that, there could be a lateral or vertical motion into the drone, and that will cause my drone to fly away. Okay, it may go beyond the range of your or maybe on its own. Okay, some glitch could have offered come into the software, and your drone could fly on its own further away from you, and you will lose the control of it. Okay, sometimes it is because of the GPS, loss of the GPS signal, or wrong GPS signals also can cause fly away situation. Okay, it could be due to GPS or hardware software failures known as straying. Okay, so in that scenario, what could be the possible effects? Possible effect could be mid-air collisions with another unmanned aircraft, with a manned or unmanned aircraft. It could crash into the building, or it could crash into any kind of obstacles, or it could, because of this crash, either to the another manned aircraft, or a unmanned aircraft, or into the building or obstacle. That debris may cause damage to the people on the ground also, or within the building also. Okay, so depending upon what way the situation or uh, effect would have affected the fly away of the drone, there could be any kind of damage could happen. So what could be the contingency plan? That is why the DGC has made it mandatory that all of your drones should always have a geofencing enabled. So whenever, even like for example, you are doing a wedding photography, you should always set some kind of a virtual geofence on your drone, like maybe within that particular area of your operations, or maybe within that let's say wedding, or within that, that open space of the resort or the farm or wherever the wedding is taking place. You should always define your geofencing so that your drone is not going away from you in case of any kind of emergency. If this kind of situation arises, as soon as it's process or it tries to process your geofence, there is a configuration done in such a way that in the moment you try to cross your geofence, your drone will automatically trigger the RTN. Okay, so automatically your drone will come to the remote to launch location. Okay, there is another emergency situation could occur because of the battery power loss or failure. So as I said, that whenever we are charging the batteries, we should make sure that first, if we're having a multiple set of batteries, we should always number those batteries. We should always have a sequence. We should always have a documentation of our battery charging cycle as well as usage of our battery bulb. Okay, so we should have some kind of pattern to be followed. Like if I'm putting a battery one, then I should put battery two, battery three, battery four, battery five, kind of thing. Okay, once I complete my total number of batteries, then only I should go to the first battery. So that sequence we should always follow. That way you will utilize all your batteries properly and timely. Lot of people make these mistakes. Like lot of, like, you have only, you think that okay, oh, teeny battery hai, I have only three batteries, what is there to number and all the things. So lot of time we happen that we don't use all the three batteries. If we do not number or we do not know which battery we are using at what time, so we do not know the track. Okay, so a lot of time people end up using same battery multiple times, and even they don't know which battery is charged and which battery is not charged. So a lot of time we just connect the battery and fly the drone, and later on we realize that we have connected a battery with a low voltage. Okay, it may be just having a 30% battery and all. So you should never do these things. Okay, if you encounter that, or even after doing all the practice, not necessary every time you will have something over the period of usage of the battery. Sometimes even battery fails, okay, or misbehaves. So could be a power loss, or maybe a failure, or maybe a drastic reduction in the voltage. Like when I connected my battery, it was showing me 100%, but as I move into the operations, I see that my battery is draining very fast. It could be the battery problem or it could be something else. But let's say from 100%, I have all of a sudden reached to 50%. Okay, so which is very dangerous condition. Or maybe I have come to 40% or 30%. These situations are very dangerous, because that point in time I could probably uh, what say we could land up into a very emergency situation. My drone can crash. Let's assume that entire my battery goes faulty. What will happen? My motor will stop functioning and automatically my drone will crash, which will further cause a bigger damage to me. Okay. Okay, what to be used for charging batteries? Like for mobiles, there is a fast charging 65 watt or 33 watt. So normally 65 watts, again, you need to see based on your battery conditions. Okay, it's not based on the mobile, but it is what type of battery we are using. So normally people use 20 watt, 33 watt, 65 watts. So it depends upon what battery you have in your mobile. Similarly, when you are using a particular battery, so what current, normally we talk about current. Okay, so normally the drone batteries, there are two options to charge the battery. Either you can use a 10 ampere or 20 ampere. So 20 ampere will charge your battery faster, but your life cycle will reduce. So normally people always say that you always charge in 10 ampere thing, though it takes little bit longer time to charge the battery, but you always charge in a 10 ampere rating. Okay, again, in charger there is an option called fast charge. Okay, or there is something called as a balance charge. So fast charge only you should use it sometimes when you are in hurry. Okay, if you are doing a normal operations, you should always charge your battery in a balance mode. Again, balance mode will may take little bit longer time to charge the batteries, but you should always charge your battery under 10 ampere in balance mode. So these, whatever I'm talking about, these points, we will actually doing this when we are charging the batteries. Okay, so I will be asking you to configure the charger and put the battery to the charger and charge the batteries and all the things, and making a note into the logbook also. Okay, so we'll see this during the practical sessions. Okay, so when we having this kind of scenario, there is a option called FS back is there configured in the drone. So sometimes it is configured for 25%, 30%, or 40% also. So our drone is been configured for 40%. So that's why we only fly drone up to 50%. So moment we go beyond 40%, it will trigger the RTH or will trigger the RTL. Okay, based on the configuration, whatever we have done. Lot of time we'll also have a RPAS loss of control. Okay, because of the GPS not functioning properly, or maybe some kind of what we call miss of the control. Like it may go beyond your control. So in that scenario, what you will do, your possible effects would be that it will have a undesired flight trajectory. It may not be flying as you are flying the drone. Okay, and then that could cause a mid-air collision with another RPAS or a manned aircraft, or could cause serious injury to many person on ground, or cause fatalities. Okay, so these are the effects of RPAS loss of control. Okay, so in case your loss of GPS and all the thing, there is a IMU also there. So using IMU also, the drone could basically be taken into the control, and maybe land, maybe not. You can trigger RTL or RTH, because for RTL and RTH you would require GPS signals. So maybe you can land the drone wherever it is at it is. So sometimes there is a some option. Some drone has a options to configure in such a way that you just trigger the land. So wherever it is, it will at that particular location land on its own. Okay, or pilot can take a remote if he is in control, and he see that GPS is not giving proper signals to it, and drone is losing its position very often. So he should take a manual control and land the drone manually also in that scenario. Try to recover the drone as fast as possible. So you can change the mode of the drone from a loiter mode to the hold mode, or standby mode kind of thing, and then probably you can go into the brake mode also. Okay, so depending upon the emergency situations. Again, lot of time we see that unsuccessful landing or flight termination happens. Okay, so a lot of time we see because of uneven terrain or uneven locations, the drone may not properly land, or may be landing the drone at the proper locations. So even during the training sessions, we will always try to use the RTL feature, because that is the most safe option to land the drone safely on the ground. Okay, so vehicle brake subs or totaling, like you in DJ there is a button, right? In DJ on your remote controller you can configure a button where you can just press that button, and basically your drone will auto land on its own, either based on whatever the configuration, whether you are set it up as RTH RTL, or maybe at any that given point in time, wherever that drone is there, that point in location it needs to be land. So based on whatever the signal you are triggering to land the drone, your drone will get land. If you do not have that kind of thing, then possibly you could damage your drone, or probably cause further more damages to the people life or to the property also. Okay, so smart return to home is always active, thereby preventing aircraft from landing outside the defined area. So lot of time, in case there is an additional feature is there on the advanced drones, where smart home, so it knows that okay, the drone is not in the control of the pilot and all the thing. In that scenario, like let's for example, I am flying the drone and I just keep it flying and I don't do anything. I just keep my remote. I mean I get a call on mobile and I forgot that I'm flying. So I'll just put it in a hovering mode, keep the remote on the table, and I keep on speaking on the phone. I thought that my phone call would be lasting only for 1 or 2 minutes, but then it goes for more than 5-10 minutes. Okay, by that time my battery gets completely discharged, and that, so probably my battery, I have configured battery for, let's say, 30% of consumption left. So that time it should trigger the RTL or RTH. So automatically my drone will land without my intervention or anything. Okay, so that is something called as smart return to home feature enabled into the drones. Okay, sometimes I mean this scenario has not occurred, but in near future this could be possibly, and that is the reason why uh, DGC has mandatory that whenever you are going for type certification of the drones, the software as well as the components of the drones should not have a position for hostile takeover, okay, or control the RPS. That is the reason why we see that though we are communicating between RC and the RPAS or the drone uh, on 2.4 gigahertz frequency, you can't bring the similar type of another remote control and try to access the drone, because there is something at a software level, there is something called as binding, like what we normally do, like we when we are pairing our Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, we always pair it using a particular secret password, or maybe there is exchange of some characters are there, so that only the particular Bluetooth is connected to your mobile. So similarly, in the drone also, when you are pairing your remote control to your drone, you are setting up pairing configuration is there. Okay, and that is only done at the OEM level. Okay, even the normal pilot, they are not been allowed, or even in their login you will not have this changes to be done at that level. So it has to be done at the OEM level. Okay, so even we have purchased the drone, that setting we could not change. We have to go to OEM for getting, if in case my RC got faulty or due to some reason I want to change my remote controller, I have to request OEM to do it for it. Okay, I cannot do it on my own. So that anti-tampering measures have to be implemented. Hardware is detectable by only specific proprietary software and accessible only on machine installed with the drivers. Or the software interface used for firmware access is protected. Like even like type certified drones, you can't change the software or the firmware of the drones. If you try to do it by connecting the laptop and thing, it will not do it directly. There will be a password protection given to it. So normally OEMs will not share that passwords, or there could be some key mechanism also is there. Okay, so those keys are not been shared to the consumer of the drone. Okay, that is to be kept secret with the OEMs only, and only OEMs are supposed to use it for their maintenance or for their activity in case they have to do it in future. Even they are not allowed to change the software or the firmware of the particular drone. Clear? Okay, so this is the last slide of this particular module. So basically this is something which is getting evolved. This is not that at the level of the maturity model, I would say. So threat and error management is a overreaching safety concept regarding the aviation operations and human performance. So the TEM framework is conceptual model. As of now, it is a conceptual model. It is not completely evolved for the drone, but it helps to assist in understanding from an operational perspective and interrelationship between safety and human performance in a dynamic and challenging operational context. Okay, so there are three basic components in the TEM framework. That is threats, what could be the threats, what could be the errors, and there could be some undesired aircraft states. So what could be the threats? Threats are nothing but they are generally defined events or errors that occur beyond the influence of line personnel, or increase operational complexity, or which may be managed by which can be managed by maintaining the margin of safety. Like for example, if I'm flying a drone in a agriculture field, okay, so flying a drone in agriculture field is always risky. Okay, or there could be a lot of threats out there. So as I said, we need to do survey. Okay, we need to do survey. We need to make sure that what are the obstacles are there, what are the probably trees are there, or maybe power line towers are there, or maybe towers, or maybe small bushes, or all the things we need to take into account. And whenever we are defining a mission plan, we should document or we should mark these points also as obstacles. Okay, so if we do all that things, we can decrease the possibility of threats or issues. Okay, and we can increase the safety concern over there. But there could be a lot of time errors. Okay, the errors would be like lot of time people define the obstacles, but it is not only the defining the obstacles, but how closely I can go to the near to the obstacles. So there are actually two settings. One is defining the obstacles and how far from the obstacle. Okay, so there are two settings. So a lot of people make mistakes. Like when we were flying our DJI Mavic drones near the power line towers, initially we were not aware of the electromagnetic radiation. So my pilot had flown the drones very close to the electrical wires, and which has actually caused damage to the Mavic drones. So then we checked with the DJI website and found that roughly around 3 meters away, you should fly your drone from the power line towers. Again, it depends upon the kind of voltage. So 3 meters would be for particular type of voltage. If you're having a very strong power flowing, it may be even maybe around 5 meters or something like that. Okay. So to be honest, to be on a safer distance, we told our pilot that they should not go closer than 5 meters of the towers. Okay, so that is what how we define the boundary of the obstacles. Also, how close I can go it. Okay, because a lot of time you may have marked the boundary, you may have defined that, oh, I will not go very close to the obstacle. So a lot of time what happens now, whenever we are seeing the drone, we are already always focusing on the body of the drone, but lot of time the propeller, since it is in motion, lot of time it is invisible to us. So हम क्या करते हैं, we normally push the drone very close to the obstacle, and one of our propeller may get stuck or get very close to the obstacle, and that causes the damage to the my propeller, and which may result in the crash. So there could be some errors by ignorance, okay, generally defined as an action or inaction by a line personnel that lead to deviation from organizational or operational intentions or expectations. Like as we earlier, we were not knowing that how close we should be flying the drones to the power line towers. So that time my pilot was not for not knowing it. So it was unintentionally or not knowing because of the knowledge. But once we have set up it and we did that, we set a limit that will not go close more than 5 meters. Okay. So in case my pilot do not follow these instructions, then he is actually deviating from the standard operating procedures. Okay, so it could be intentionally or unintentionally also sometimes happen. And what could be the desired undesired states, generally a definition as an operational condition where unintended situation result in reduction in margin of safety, or maybe your operations could impact it. So the moment my DJI Mavic was flown very closely, it was not able to fly the drone properly. I mean, it was not working properly the drone. Okay, we were seeing that it was a lot of time losing the signal. Okay, so we encountered a lot of time the drone going out of our control. Okay, so we were having a lot of challenges on that drone. So that's why we discarded that drone from our operations. Okay, so that is what is undesired state. So it is basically a loss of aircraft for me, or loss of drone for me. Okay, which has caused a lot of monitoring issues also, as well as has impacted my operational activities also. So in fact, that particular pilot was not able to do the flying for next more than 8 to 10 days. Okay, so that is what was the unintended situation has arisen. One is the loss of my drone. Second is the productivity of my pilot was gone down for more than 8 to 10 days, and resulting in revenue loss also. Okay. So how do you do the emergency identification? It could be because of the pilot error. It could be heavy winds, loss of altitude because of IMU failure, loss of remote control failure. A lot of time people do not charge the remote control, so they do not see that even remote control has its battery. Okay, they don't see how much battery is left into my remote control also, or they may not have. Sometimes even failure because of the remote controller battery can be overcome by keeping a spare battery. You may not be able to charge the immediately the battery, but you can always keep a spare battery or additional batteries which you can connect and use it. So like you see in DJI bigger drones, along with your drone batteries, like you have taken, let's say you are taking a drone called DJI Inspire. Okay, in DJI Inspire, there is a separate box for charging your drone batteries. So in that box, you will see there are some around 10 batteries you can charge at a time. Okay, so there you will see 10 slots. Plus, there are three additional smaller slots are there for charging the drone remote control battery. So there are three. They are providing three remote control batteries also. So that's how they have kept, redundancy built into the drone, so that in case your even remote control battery is completely drained, you can always remove that faulty, I mean, the drain battery, and connect the fresh battery into the remote controller, and you are back into the operations. Okay, a lot of time even the compass failure happens when what will happen when we have a compass failure? Can you tell me what could happen? Any idea?
Will the drone go astray because there is no direction?
Correct. So drone will not know the heading. Okay. So it will not understand the heading. So normally when you are actually flying a drone, because of the compass, it knows the direction with respect to the orientation of the magnetic compass. Okay. So it knows where is north, where is east, where is south. That compass setting is there in that. So it will not know the direction from where direction. So on your, if you see on your remote control, on top right, you will see the heading aligned with respect to uh, the drone orientation, right? Then motor propeller damages. Lot of time this motor propeller damages could cause, or even the medical emergency. Like lot of time when we are flying, especially in agriculture flying, we are flying since morning. We start normally our activity used to start in agriculture flying. Activity starts at 7 o'clock early morning. Even when we are doing power line transmission, because our all operations were in the daytime, so we wanted to utilize the maximum time from right from sunrise to sunset. So our operations used to start early morning. So my pilot used to fly at 7 a.m. And he used to go up to evening, something around 5, 6, 5:36 p.m. to that period. So a lot of time, because he's always in outside weather, flying a drone for almost for 8 to 10 hours or 12 hours also sometimes. So a lot of time it has impacted on their health also. So especially morning, you will not feel anything. You will feel good. You will be flying. But as the sun climbs up in the sky, you will start feeling now. Especially in these days, now you will see in April and May, when you are flying the drone, you will feel that pressure of heat and all the things. Whereas when we are flying the drone in winter season or thing, we were not feeling that much stress. But the heat and the humidity would probably impact our, lot of time we lose the willingness to fly, or we will lose the interest in flying the drone. So in this scenario, ideally we should always stop our operations. Maybe we need to take a rest, or maybe have to take some medications or whatever is required. Accordingly, we need to take the action. Okay, so that's all about the medical emergency. Okay, so any questions on emergency identification? Do you think anything else could be there? Uh, anything we missed out from emergency?
I have just one question. I know that RC would definitely show the height or the altitude at which we are flying the drone.
Correct.
And suppose we miss to look at see that, and it goes beyond the height limit. Then what happens to the drone? Does it lose radio control?
So if you are going beyond the limit of the height what is been prescribed into the drone, like our drone is having 100 feet of height, 98 point something is there. Okay, defined into it. Okay, it cannot go beyond that. So if you fly the drone beyond that height, it will trigger a RTH. Similarly, in DJI drones, the DJI in the factory itself would set up some limit of the height ceiling. Okay, so normally, ideally, any type certified drone would have a limit of flying up to 400 feet, not beyond that. So you cannot fly drone beyond 400 feet. If your drone goes beyond 400 feet, it will trigger the RTM. Like for our agriculture drones are been capped at 100 feet only. So it will not go beyond even 100 feet also. It
Yeah,
will
in
trigger
in
the
uh,
RTM.
in the manual which I saw, actually it was saying under normal battery circumstances, it is some 3,000 meters, which is
3 kilometers.
uh, three
But this
kilometers in
which drone you are talking about?
this is a nano one, DJI Nano.
DJI Nano. Okay. So Nano, that is a DJI. So they would be setting up their own limit.
Okay.
Any other question? But if you see what is the limit set by the government or DGCA for the nano drone?
Yeah, it is 50 feet,
Correct. So 50 feet
40,
only.
40, I think 40 or 50. Yeah.
50 feet. That is 15 meters only. We should fly the drone. Okay. So the maximal permissible altitude for nano drones, like for DJI, even Mavic or Mini or even Nano, is 50 feet. Okay, which is actually a 15 meters above the ground level, as per
But
the regulation. As per the regulations, we are talking about.
yeah, but your DJI Mavic or other drones can also are also used by construction people to see
Fly
whether
high,
the scaffold.
fly the higher. So
Yeah,
simple. I would say that जब तक चल रहा है तब तक चलेगा, पकड़ा गया तो
fine bro, or nikal
fine.
jao.
Correct. So that it is. So up till now, nobody. I mean, see, there is no tracking mechanism, right? The moment you
That
have
is
this
what.
UTM, and all these things are comes into the picture, then this will become a very serious concern and serious issue. People will actually fall. देखो अभी normally हम लोग कार ड्राइविंग करते तो क्या करते हैं, like कभी कभी we break the signal, right? But the
तो
moment they
कैमरा
started,
चालू ही नहीं रहता है ना,
हाँ
कैमरा ही
कैमरा
बंद
चालू
रखते
नहीं,
हैं.
but forget about camera as of now. Imagine like 5-10 years back when there was no CCTV. तो हम लोग क्या करते थे, सिग्नल देखते थे, लाल है ग्रीन है, irrespective we
पेड़
cross.
के पीछे छुपा है क्या दिखते हैं.
Ah, we would see all that thing. Or maybe now recent times what we'll see, cameras are there. But then we know now that a lot of time cameras are there, but they are not functional, not working, and something like that. So we'll try to escape. But then if there is a cap is there, camera है तो हम लोग थोड़ा सा, some people may break, some people may not break. Okay, not knowing what is situation. Like you may be knowing that the camera is not functional, so you may break and go. But I am not aware. Okay, I might think that you have broken because you may have to take a risk, but I will not take the risk because I do not know the situation of the camera. So I'll say, okay, camera lagai, I will wait for signal to become green. Same thing will apply to the drone also. The moment you have some kind of a mechanism to track and catch people, till that time people are using it. Okay, until unless you do not have any kind of system in the place over there, then nothing to worry about it. Okay, so with that we complete our today's topic on the emergency handling. So we will take a 5 minutes break, and then by 3:50 we'll start, because there are two topics which we need to take back to back. These are small topics. These are just introductory topics related to payload and the image and the what we call it, video interpretation. Okay, these are very small topics. These are not so important from a perspective of a drone flying, but then since we are flying a drone from a perspective of utilization of the drone, so the course is more focused on the flying aspect of the drone. Later on you can specialize, like if I want to become an agriculture pilot, then probably how to configure a agriculture drone, how to fly for an agriculture activity, or maybe I want to go for a surveying or a mapping activity, you can go for a specialized surveying mapping course. Or maybe like aerial photography, people who wanted to become a aerial photographer or cinematographer, that could be a specialized course for this kind of activity. So those will be like add-on or further upgradation of your skills. Nothing. But this course is more focused from a perspective of your flying skills of your drone. So that's why you see even the training drones, what is being used or whatever DGCA specified, ideally they suggest that you should have a training drone without any kind of payload or anything. So normally a lot of people buy a smaller training drones uh, in their RPTOs, okay, which may be not costing somewhere around 3 lakhs rupees, okay, max. Whereas the drone what we are using, the agriculture drone what we are using, it almost cost 8.5 lakhs, okay, and with additional parts like additional remote control, battery charger, and additional batteries and all that things, spare propellers, all that things add up to another 2 lakh rupees of it. So one drone like that, you need to have two drones in your organization to get you authorization for flying or training purposes. Okay, so let's take a break, 5 minutes, 5 minutes break, and then we'll resume back.